Hi all, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming by and taking some time to hang out with me today. So, welcome to Live a Lit with Amy and Blue, and today is story time. It is a Tuesday. Not having tacos today because I am preparing to go up north and leave the tiny house. So we got to work on getting through the groceries and whatnot. So very close, avocado toast. So if you love avocado toast, you'll love avocado toast. And this is basically guacamole toast, to be honest, because I always make it with chopped avocados, red onions, cilantro, and tomatoes, and of course heat. You guys gotta add heat, which is crushed red peppers. And I got the most amazing ghost pepper salt grinder something in West Des Moines last year. I'll have to share it at some point. If anybody's interested, let me know. It is great, and it's a nice little addition and kick to this. So my apologies. I'll be eating while I'm talking and recording today, but I thought, you know what a perfect time to do a little bit of a story time. And with Mother's Day coming up, happy Mother's Day early to everybody. And for those of you who know, but those of you who may not know and are new to the channel, a large part of how I got started vlogging and recording things is a major change in my life when my mom passed away and how that impacted me. And she passed on Mother's Day 3 years ago. So needless to say, this is very weird territory since then. So I thought, because a lot of what I've also talked about is me being adopted, is that, you know, to honor my mom, tears will be shed, just so you know. But just to honor her on this Mother's Day and help you all understand the history for me and what's going on and all these stories you're going to hear about and that you're hearing about, and what has gotten me to this point of where I am right now in this life-changing, adjusting moment. So, sit back, go get a drink. I'm not going to hopefully take too long, but the history of Amy, my background, how in the world and where and what, right? So, I was very, very blessed to be adopted. And I was adopted by a wonderful couple. And I was raised in a very small, rural, white town in Iowa. And I had a really good childhood. There were moments, being a only one of few brown people in the area, there were moments, and I'll talk about that because I think in this day and age and right now it's really important to talk about that and diversity and how that impacted me. There. Okay. So I was very fortunately adopted by a couple who could not have children. My mom, unfortunately, had a hysterectomy at a very young age and was unable to have children and wanted so badly to have children. Was very, very crazy, active aunt, loved her nieces and nephews and spending time with them, and, wanted a child of her own. So they fortunately worked with Lutheran Social Services, and through a series of the process back then in the 60s and classes and meeting other parents and social, they had to go see, social workers and get reviews and so on and so forth. They were then able to, and were identified and notified in July 69 that they've got a baby. So when I was 5 days old, I was adopted. So I was born on July 21st, and I consider July 26th my gotcha day. And I probably should check the paperwork, but that's just always what it's been. So, honestly and truthfully, my birthday is very important, but my gotcha day is much more of a spiritual meaning moment because that is when my mom got me. And as I learned later in life, when I was in grad school, and you're coming of age more where you can talk to your parents honestly about things. I asked my mom some honest questions about, what that was like and what it's been like, and, having a kid that was mixed and brown, and, how difficult was that. And there's some very interesting challenges and struggles even that she had to deal with too. So, it's interesting. I'm going to be all over the damn place on this one. Oh, excuse me. You know what? I watch a number of vloggers who do this. I get it very corny, but now I get it because that was really rude. I need to take a bite and not like share or something with you. Also, you gotta love these. One joy of Tiny is you ain't buying shit. I don't buy anything. Food, drinks. I don't have space. I got everything I need, everything I want. And if I want to buy something extra, it is something fun like flamingo napkins. So that's what I invest. That's what I spend my guilty pleasure money on. So let's get to it. So my mom was unable to have children. My parents wanted to adopt. They went through Lutheran Social Services at 5 days old. Ta-da! They get me. And one of the things that my mom shared with me, and we talked and kind of joked about as I got older, and I could still kind of laugh about it, fortunately, is that when they went to Fort Dodge to pick me up, and the social worker handed her to my mom, she said, and while we joke it, when you really sit there and think about it, it's freaking horrible. But it was 69. She looked at my mom and said, she's a little dark. If it doesn't work, you can bring her back. Let that sit. Here's real Amy. I'll live a little. Even coming up on my 55th birthday, that still stings. If it doesn't work, you can return her. All because I'm brown. And I'm a light brown. Right now I'm a little darker than normal. You can kind of tell my Florida tan. But wow, really? Doesn't work. You can bring her back. Of course, any true loving, caring being who longs for the love of a child and to love a child and raise a child is never going to return that child. So my ass wasn't going anywhere, which is great. So, I returned home to my quaint small town in Iowa. And anybody who knows me knows I love my hometown. And I love that I grew up there and had a good childhood. And growing up, great childhood, great family. When you are a mixed kid in a white town with a white family, it comes with some challenges. Period. So, needless to say, through the years of growing up and my time, my mom and my dad, or was my mom? My dad, honestly, it's hard for him to talk about. Excuse me. I was going to give you a bite. That's what I was talking about. People who do this. And let me give you the first bite. But to share the toast, it is wonderful. There's my ADHD. Sorry. Talking about my adoption and whatnot with my dad really did not happen. I asked as I was an adult, and it was even uncomfortable then. He's giving me paperwork. We still kind of talk about it, but it's like, it's passive. But my mom, I always knew that I was adopted. And, you know, when you're brown, your family's not brown, it's kind of hard to hide. And the whole town isn't. It would be hard to hide, right? But I can vividly remember moments. I literally just shared this with a lady today. I was 3, had to be 3-ish, maybe 4. But I vividly remember sitting in the pool, baby pool, with my mom. And we were at the pool every day. I loved the pool. I jumped off the high board in Monticello at the age of 2, 2.5 or something like that. I love swimming. And of course, this little brown baby gets browner, as I mentioned, see, as the summer goes along. And we were sitting in the backyard, and she put her arm next to me, and my mom had very olive skin too. So she would tan very easily, and others in our family tanned easily. But she put her arm next to me, and she said, "Look, Amy, I'm the same color as you." And I said, "No, Mommy, you don't want to be the same as me, because the kids will make fun of you." So I knew it. 3. I've always known. So for anybody who is not brown, you ever wonder, it's no big deal, we're all people, we're all the same. Yes, we are, but it hits hard. It really does. It hits hard. It hits different. This is just me. This is just Amy, but I'm light brown. I have a light brown and a very dark brown child. And just my own experience, while I felt very accepted and very loved, knowing that people look at you, you don't know always who, but people literally look at me and don't like me. It's something I can't change. Well, the sun can change, but literally, that's why somebody doesn't like me or hates me or my children or many people that I love, right? So know that my mom lost her mom when she was a teen. Her sisters were older and out of the house. You long for a child and can't have one. And then you get to adopt. And I say that all like that because I don't ever want anyone to think that I think I'm better, I'm more special, or it hurts more for me or less for somebody else because they lost a parent. That's not the case. Anybody who loses a parent, that is a pain. And if you haven't, it's a pain you will not know until you do. And no one can ever pass judgment, say you should respond or handle or manage your grief in any way. Everybody is going to be different. Everybody's going to handle it different, manage it different, recover different. But for me, those things that I shared regarding my mom and then my getting adopted from her, I was her world, and vice versa. Because there were things that she probably doesn't even realize, conversations that she had with me that, unless you're in this situation, you don't have those conversations with your kids. And you're very blessed if you've never had to say to your child, simply because you look, something you cannot hide, something you cannot, somebody's going to hate you and get at you for that. And navigating in that space when I was growing up in a small town, it's difficult, and you don't have resources, you didn't know where to go, so on and so forth. And looking back, we were in our own little world, and we navigated it very well, I really believe. And, you know, I grew to understand my background, my history, while I could, when I could, and at perfect stages, I guess. But, you know, small town Iowa, brown kid, white family, parents, of course, divorced, you know, and I was with my mom full time. And while I, yes, spent time with my dad and my grandparents, and, you know, was away in summers at times, you know, that woman was everything to me. And also, along with that, for me being an adopted child, I have always been very unbelievably grateful that I have somebody. And even more so, following a junior high trip. We were at basketball camp in Fort Dodge, and we went to or by the foster home, and the main place, I guess, that they would keep children from where I was adopted to where I was going. And I don't remember the exact setup, scenario, where, anything. I just know that I was there at some period. That's where I was picked up. And there are kids that were there that were in and around my age at the time. And not everybody is blessed to get adopted and have a family, and an amazing family, and a family that loved you and cared for you, and more importantly, provided you love. So, and while there was challenges, there was inner challenges within the family. I think about my skin tone, there was still love. And I know that, you know, it changed some people. I know both grandfathers shared that my adoption changed them for the good. That's a good thing, right? Great thing. And I was extremely close to both of them as well. And I am very thankful for that. So, with all of that said, kind of what I was saying, to not negate anyone's pain or feeling or loss, there is, I believe there's an unbelievable different, can be a different level of parenting or parenting bond. That's why a stronger parenting bond with divorced kids and their parents, because they just kind of had to tell us more, and we kind of have to tell our kids more to help them understand some things that are different, that they don't understand if you're, you know, fortunately in a home of two parents and a full family. It's a bit different. Some of that responsibility and the communication that has to happen, and that communication for me and my mom, she was always very forthright with me, never hid anything, never felt. And I did the same for Logan. I pray that she feels that way. And, you know, you got to share some things early on, sometimes that are more difficult. Now, in and around my adoption, some of those things were shared more as I got older and as I got more interested in wanting to know. Because for me, being mixed, and I shared in an earlier video, I had non-identifying information. So, you know, it's kind of hard to figure out things and find things, but, you know, you have non-identifying information. But as I grew, I mean, that was my family. The Hoffmans, you know, the Hankins, that's my family. The Streets, those are my people. So my viewpoint was I already had my family. And most importantly, I had this amazing mama. Now, wholeheartedly, I felt a loss between my dad and I. And I wanted that. I wanted to be a daddy's girl, and that was not an option for me. And I think as I learned about my non-identifying information and that my biological father was Black, for me, that was in just an immediate, that's who I want to find. I honestly had not really had much of a thought to find my biological mom. And I think it was because heritage-wise, health-wise, medically-wise, history-wise, I wanted to know my dad, but also because I wasn't as close to my adopted dad, I felt I wanted to know my biological dad. And I have the perfect mom, so I didn't need to know my biological mom. She did the best thing she could do, which was have me and give me life. And now my mom is my mom, and she's raised me, and that's really all I cared about. So I left it at that. As I got older, that changed. That shifted slightly. Excuse me. But there's also some interesting nuances as to why I'm hesitant about finding my biological mom and looking into that. And I'll share at some point, of course. But I was very interested in my dad's side, and the coincidences and kind of the pull and how this all came about is even more interesting, which I will continue to share more as well as this journey goes on. But I was adopted, and I was adopted into an awesome, loving, big family. And I was adopted by a woman who faced some really challenging things, adopting a biracial child and managing the waters and life for her and I, and even going into the future. Being a mom. And, you know, walking in that space. Many a times I've called and apologized to AJ for shit that I did. I think many of us tend to do that as we become parents. But my level of true gratitude and appreciation for her her being so selfless. And all that she did for me, to raise me, to make me who I am, to protect me. You know, she had her struggles, you know, because there were friends that were lost and situations that very difficult. But she was awesome. So, there's the real initial history of how Amy came about and why and what and where, and if you haven't heard the true story, how I feel about all that. And yeah, so I say that out of great honor and respect for my mom. At this Mother's Day coming up, I'll be honest, it's 3 years, and Thursday is her death anniversary. As anybody who's lost anybody, sometimes it just never gets easier, right? Just the tears still come, the pain's still there. I still can't, say too much, talk too much sometimes without tears, and there they are. But I am beyond grateful for being adopted by her and my dad. And I'm beyond grateful for the blessing in the life that I was given, and for this platform to be able to talk about this, because I really believe that there are some experiences and things that have gone on, and my sharing can help somebody. God has just laid that on my heart, so here we are. So I'm gonna post a little bit more, because this week I'm so excited I get to see my baby girl after 6 months. It's the longest time we've been away, and anybody who knows us, it's about to get real. So you're gonna see some funny videos, I am sure, and some entertainment, because we're gonna hang out here for a couple days and finish up some things at the tiny house, and she's gonna help me. And then we are going to drive north, and I'm gonna be in Iowa for a couple months, and I'm gonna continue to video more and put things out here, and maybe even have day in a life type stuff. I don't know, but if you're interested in something and you want me to do it, just tell me. More than ever, I am in there's somebody over here checking something out. It's just funny to watch people. More than ever, I'm in an amazing space and place to want to share. Living in this world that I'm in right now, and being a snowbird and traveling and living in the tiny house and living in an RV and everything else that comes with all of that glory. There's just a lot to come. So thank you very much for being here. If you have not, please do subscribe, like, share. Please, please, please. This has been fun, and I want to just continue to grow this journey, and I look forward to growing it with you. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Live a little with Amy and Blue. We love you.